Welcome to Cravings Control for Fat Loss. I'm your host, Laura Cavallo, former sugar binger, overeater, and yo-yo dieter turned fat loss and cravings coach for hundreds of busy women. Here at Cravings Control for Fat Loss, I'll be sharing mindset, movement, and metabolism strategies for those who are ready to ditch the fat diet cycle and slim down without counting calories, tracking points, or giving up any of the foods they love. Get ready to embrace progress over perfection, grace over guilt, and bring curiosity and learning to the inevitable ups and downs of your life. Expect a decrease in your cravings while seeing and feeling an improvement in how you look, how you feel, and your overall quality of life. I am so excited you're here, boo. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Cravings Control for Fat Loss. My name is Laura Cavallo. I am here with a longtime client of mine, Beth Thomas. Hi, Beth.
Hi.
I'm so excited to have you on. I've been watching your journey and such a big part of your journey over the last, how long have we been working together now? 9 months? A year almost?
Just about almost a year. Yep.
Yeah. And just so inspired by your story. And I really wanted you to come on and share your journey and your process with, other women and other people and other men that are listening to the podcast. And hopefully we can provide them with some inspiration and some guidance. And I think it's important for people to know that we can change and that change can happen even as we get older and in our 30s and 40s and 50s. So tell us a little bit about you. What part of Canada are you in? Beth and I were just talking about how she has been subjected to so much snow and ice the last few weeks and she's over it. What part of Canada?
Yeah, I'm in Kingston, in Ontario, and
Okay.
it just feels like winter just keeps coming at us, and I'm over it. I'm ready for some nice warm weather.
Yeah, but when it is nice in Canada, it's actually really nice. Like
Oh
it's
yes, yeah. Our summers are beautiful. It's just our winters they drag on in February, even though it's a short month. It hits us hard, I think, especially like after the holidays and everything. So yeah.
yeah, definitely. When's your first sign of snow usually up there?
Um, it's sort of getting later now. It's like end of December, beginning of January is when we are first signed, but it gets really cold, right? So it's like minus 25, and yeah, it's just ridiculous.
How does one dress for minus 25? Because I'm in New York and it's like 30 and I'm bundled to the T and people are looking at me like it's not that cold out. I guess I'm just more sensitive, but I'm like, it's cold for me. I don't even
Oh
know
yeah,
how I would dress for negative 25.
I
What's a
I'll
day in
wear
the life
a lot of layers. Yeah. Well,
like
because my other
thermals?
job, right, with I'm up every morning, and so I'm in the element. So yeah, lots of layers.
Yeah. So that starts from the ground up. It's like thermals and
Heated
like,
socks.
yeah, good
Yeah,
socks, good shoes. My hands and feet are always cold. So
yeah,
I would have
same.
to have warmers, like warming gloves and warming shoes to survive. Yeah, you're super brave because you're up super early and out in the elements, like you said. So lots of tea for me, lots of hot tea, lots of hot
Yeah.
water bottles.
Yes,
So
lots of hot baths.
yeah, definitely. Hot tubs. You have a
Yeah,
hot tub, which
I
is
do have a
better.
hot tub. Yeah,
Yeah. Living in Canada, you need a hot tub. I feel like
that's
that's a must.
absolutely. Yeah.
So, did you grow up in Canada?
Yes, yeah. I grew up in Montreal, in Quebec, and then I moved to Kingston in my late 20s.
Okay.
Yeah,
And your parents live close by, right?
yeah. They moved to Kingston about 10 years ago now, so to be closer.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. And so you grew up with brothers. Tell us about your
I sure
upbringing
did.
and yeah, and how your upbringing growing up with brothers and your family, how that kind of set the stage for your health and fitness journey.
You know what's crazy? So I have three older brothers, and I never thought too much about the dynamics until maybe like 4 or 5 years ago of how that might have had an impact on how I see myself and how I've sort of projected myself to the world. And so I think my journey basically started by going back to seeing like my relationships and how that's also impacted, the way I project myself and the way I am in the world. And it's really opened my eyes to how crazy it is, to how my life is so different from growing up with three brothers and a father who basically had me grow up like I was one of the boys as well, right? So it was a very interesting dynamic in my house. And I felt that. I felt very much like one of the boys, like very much a tomboy, but had this piece inside me that was like, I was loving fashion and I kept trying to wear different clothes. But every time I did that, it was like, there was always a comment by one of my brothers or my dad, like, what was I wearing? Or if I changed my hair color, there was always a comment, always a comment. I can't imagine leaving, like stepping out of my room without somebody saying, like, what are you wearing? Or what'd you do your hair? Or so it's definitely had a huge impact on my self-esteem for sure. I never quite realized how much it had impacted my self-esteem, always having comments on what I was wearing or doing.
Wow. Wow, that's really impactful at such a young age. And your brother and dad were probably didn't think anything of it,
Oh,
and just
yeah,
like, oh,
no,
we're just
absolutely.
teasing you, or, you're just, you always wear basketball shorts and t-shirts with us. Like, what's this dress that you're wearing, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
as a
no,
kid, every little criticism hits so deeply.
oh, for sure. Yeah, even if I had my hair down, or you're wearing your hair down, or your hair looks better up, it's little comments like that that you just sort of internalize, right? And you go through life not really realizing the kind of impact it had on you. And
Yeah.
like I said, it wasn't until about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even less, that I was doing more research on relationships, and that's what brought me to looking at healing that inner child. And that's exactly what I've been trying to do, and that's what brought me to you, was this work on myself with relationships. Well, there's also that relationship with food, and I always thought I was over it, but there was always something in the back of my mind that kept like holding me back with sort of how I viewed myself in terms of fitness and in terms of nutrition. And I didn't want that anymore. I was tired of holding on to this one piece that just, it felt elusive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even when I first contacted you, to be absolutely honest, in the back of my head, I was like, this might be another way to help me get skinny, without really thinking and knowing the true impact this has had being in this program with you.
Mm.
It's changed me so much. And yeah, and it's crazy for me to be here on your podcast, because I would be listening to something like this going, oh, I'd love to be there, but I don't think I'll ever get there. And for me now
Wow.
to be sitting in this seat going, oh my gosh, I did it. Like I did the work. I'm still doing the work, but by no means is it like perfect or linear, but it's great. It's a really good feeling.
I'm like, I have tears in my eyes just listening to you talk, because I been there, we've both been there, that feeling of being stuck and hopeless and like nothing is going to work for us. And we've tried everything that we can possibly exhaust. And then we just default to, well, I guess I'll just do another fad diet, right? Or I guess I'll just do another XYZ to boost my confidence and get the results that I want, right? So I'm so happy that you've stepped into this new chapter, this new healed version of yourself. You've come so far. So I want to keep going back just a little bit. And was the comments that you were growing up with, was that around food as well, or mostly just more critical of like your sense of style, your how you looked, or what did it lean
So
into
there was,
food and maybe even like playing sports and stuff?
yeah, so there's definitely comments about my weight, not food, not the food I ate, because we all basically ate the same thing. I was heavier when I was younger, but everybody is. I think it was when I went to high school where I lost the weight, and then there was a comment on that. Yeah, I played basketball, right? I played basketball basically from the age of 6 till the age of 21, but my weight had fluctuated pretty much during those years as well. But I don't recall much about having comments about what I'm eating, but it was definitely like, you're heavier, or you look heavier, or you've put on some weight, or you look really gaunt. Like those were the kinds of comments that I remember hearing.
Mm. Wow. Impactful. So how did that impact you in your teens and in your 20s? How did that manifest itself in how you related to food or exercise or your body image?
Well, I think for one thing, I'm tall, right? So I'm 5'11" now, but I've always been tall. And I know social media is so different now than what we had. I mean, I had all those fashion magazines, and I was looking at, and you'd see a lot of the models, right? And the models were tall, but they were also very skinny. And I wasn't very skinny. And I was always thinking, well, if I'm tall, then that's how I should be looking. I should be looking skinny. So I would definitely I would criticize my body, criticize, oh, my legs could never look like that, or my stomach could never look like that, my arms could never look like that. But then also playing basketball, I needed to have some muscle on me. So I had to have some muscle so I could have the strength to play. But I was always very careful when I was working out at the gym. I didn't want to be bigger. I didn't want to put on that weight. I didn't want the look of muscle. I really wanted that look of just being lean and skinny. In my head, I just wanted this look. And I didn't understand that I could attain it with the idea of controlling food. It really wasn't until I was in university taking nutrition classes that I had this, wow, I can control how I look with food. I didn't know that. So I became, a master of calories, and I had my nutrition book, and I was figuring out, well, if I eat this many carrots, it's this many calories, and this apple is this many calories. And I worked through that. And unfortunately, that's one of the reasons why I ended up quitting basketball was I lost way too much weight, and I had no energy, and I couldn't really focus in class, and I couldn't really focus on the court. That was sort of what had pushed me out of playing something I'd played for so long.
That's so heartbreaking, right? Looking back on that.
Yeah, it definitely was, but it's also, I think there was so much more, right? Because it is an idea of control. And I think I stayed home to play basketball. I had scholarship offers to the States. I decided, I want to stay in Canada. I want to be an all Canadian. That was like a goal of mine. And that 1 year I played, well, I didn't really get to play much. And I saw the bench way more than I saw the court, which was very frustrating for me. And I think that's what sort of spiraled that idea of control. And what I could control was my food. I could control what I ate. And it became an extremely obsessive game I played with myself of, okay, well, I've got practice. And so I've got to walk home from getting off the bus from school because I ate something. Like, it was just this cycle, and then going to bed and like pinching my skin and seeing, this is too much, or it just, or sitting in I just remember sitting on my bed with that nutrition book and just going through again with the calories, or watching Food Network, being hyper obsessed with watching food shows, watching cooking, but never eating.
Yeah.
So it just, it definitely spiraled.
And would you say that this is when your eating disorder started?
Yeah.
And did anyone in the school reach out or ask you what was going on, or try and support you in any way, or any family members notice any changes going on?
No, it's crazy, because that was the word gaunt was the word that my dad had used to describe me when he said he saw me. But that was it. We are a family who brushes things under the carpet. We'd rather not, talk about it. We might see it, but we're not talking about it. So I think they may have seen it, but no one came to me. My brothers didn't come to me. My mom didn't come to me. I think it was someone who worked with my mom, because I ended up working at the hospital as a part-time job. And I think one of them had said something to my mom that, I think there's something up with your daughter. So that's what spurred to get some help to get out of being anorexic.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I know that's very personal and a deep wound.
It was. It isn't anymore, for sure, but it definitely was then. Yeah.
Yeah. So moving through the eating disorder, what type of support did you get? And when did you kind of get back to that point where you weren't obsessively tracking, and what did it manifest into after that?
Well, it's funny. So I did get some help. I went to go see a therapist or a counselor, and it helped me in a little bit because it helped me eat food again. But she had given me this book. Now I can't remember the name of the book, but in the book anyway, it talked about bulimia. Everyone who knows me now knows how much I love food. I love to eat. Even when I'm sick, I can find a way to eat, because I think it's super important to eat. So I was like, great. So I can eat, but I just make myself throw up. So I learned from this therapist, or being in therapy, that there was another way around this, is that I could actually eat the food because I like food, but I didn't have to hold it in. And so this came from anorexia to bulimia. Being in that anorexic phase is I felt very in control, even though I know I wasn't, but I felt in control. With bulimia, I felt so out of control. It felt so foreign. It was uncomfortable because I would get to a point where I would eat way too much before I purged. And even purging, there's no good feeling about throwing up. There's nothing good about that. So it felt very out of control. And that basically happened right before I had left to go live in England. I went to go live in England for just over a year to be a nanny. And the bulimia got worse while I was there. And then that's what spurred me to come back home. I'm like, this is not right. This is not how I should be living. This does not feel true to who I am. And I need to get back home. And once I got back home, it stopped. I stopped it. It's all stopped. I never went back. It was just, I didn't want to live that way. It did not feel authentic to who I am at all.
Wow. And how old were you when you came back and stopped?
25.
Okay.
Yeah. So that period basically lasted from, I'd say 21 to 25, 4 years of this battle, of the anorexic part, the really not eating was short-lived, but the bulimia definitely had had some moments in there where I knew that was an option if I didn't like how I ate or what I ate.
So thank you for sharing that. I feel like I just want to get up and give you a hug through the computer because I'm learning a lot about you talking with you, because obviously we talked about this during our coaching, but not super in depth in terms of, how long it was and sort of the extent of the eating disorder. And now you're in your 40s, so it's been a long time that you haven't had it, and you're in a much better place now, obviously.
And it's great. I appreciate that sentiment. And what's awesome is I've done that. I've given myself those hugs and that care that I'm able to share my story without it. That was my story then. It's not who I am now.
Yes.
Right. And I'm very much able to move forward and to be where I'm at now. And I'm so grateful, very grateful to be here. Yep.
And so you said you just stopped. What enabled you? What helped you to stop? Did you educate yourself? Did you do any mental health counseling, with a different therapist maybe that was a little bit more helpful? Did you dive into any education books, or what helped you?
I didn't actually. I didn't do any of those things. Part of it was that deep rooted feeling of this is not who I am. I have this feeling that I'm supposed to be this very happy, light-hearted person, and that never felt right. Those times did not feel like that person at all. And I didn't want to be that person. That's not who I am. And I had been fighting that for years, right? I've been fighting for this girl inside, trying to fight to get her out. And what I was doing during all that time was making it worse for this girl, right? So it's like, no, this is not who you want to be. This is not who you're meant to be. So again, what you learn is when you're younger is this mental toughness, right? It's like, you want something, you do it. And that was it for me. It was like, no, I'm done. This is not who I want to be. This is not what I want to do. Nothing about this feels right. And stop that. What didn't stop, though, is that there's still those things lingering, right? Because there's all that knowledge that I did have about food, and there's everything that you've taken in from media, from things that you've read of like what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat. It's just all those things are still coming into my system, and I'm still processing them, and I'm still trying to figure them out. So I still had this thing of wanting some kind of control, because obviously I felt out of control in some parts, so I needed some control. And food was one way to do it. And I think once I had tried to find who I really was, my authentic self, which I'm still searching for, and I'm way closer to who she is right now than I've ever been, I've been able to break free of all those things. And doing this program with you, oh my gosh, like there's so many things that you have said to me in our calls, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I just need you, like little pocket Laura, to be, Beth, it's okay, you've learned so much. And I'm like, yes, I know. Like it's really, been fantastic for me. Yeah. Because again, I truly didn't think I'd be here and in this, come this far and in such a short period of time. But
Yeah.
this program is so good, and having your support is so good. And having like the group support, or like your Facebook group, and like hearing other little stories from other clients of yours, it's motivating, and you're not alone. And like I said, I could post things. I could post pictures of food I ate. I could post pictures of candy I had. I could post pictures of cake. In any other diet that I've ever done, or any other like um, program I might have tried, there's no way I would have felt comfortable posting things like that. You would have felt
Mm-hmm.
judged. I would have judged myself. Now it's like, no, I can have that cake. Can have that candy. I'm just not eating all of it, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm enjoying it. And I'm enjoying it because I'm having that one piece, or I'm having that, little bowl of candy instead of sitting there eating a whole bag.
Yeah. Such a huge lifestyle and mindset change, right? How you approach it, the mindset around it. And you can even post you dressing up in cute clothes. And I'm like, ooh, that's so cute. Dress me, please. Give me your fashion advice.
Yes, yes, guilty as charged. My selfies, I do post a lot of those.
I love
But
it.
it's also good for me because I'll go back and I'll look at pictures of what I wore like a couple years ago. I'm like, oh yeah, that was a great outfit. Should go back and
Yes.
look for that. Yeah.
Yes. And you're celebrating your more feminine side, right? The one that you weren't allowed to celebrate as much when you were a kid.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and having fun with like hair and makeup, and yeah, just all the girly things. And
So between 25 and when we started working together, I think you were 46.
no,
Am I
I'm
allowed?
43. I'm
Oh,
43.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beth's like giving me that side eye. I know you guys can't see it, but
Yeah.
she's like, you are aging me and I don't appreciate it. No. So between 25 and when we started working together, what what did you do? What did you try? Just give us a quick synopsis of that, and then we'll dive into sort of the mindset that you had coming into the program.
I feel like I tried like almost everything. I looked at keto, did a bit of that. I've done like little mini programs like on like if a Facebook group was doing some sort of nutrition like 1 month challenge or 3 month challenge, I would dive into those. I'd also just sort of get sucked in on any kind of like an ad that would pop up of like, try this product and for 30 days and this will happen. I was like, oh, maybe that might be that kickstart that I need to get myself back into that feeling that I want to be in. So yeah, I just kept trying those things, but they're just not, it's nothing that I could keep long term, right? So anything that I was restricting myself, and I just actually like maybe 2 weeks ago on my Facebook, you know how Facebook pops up like your old posts.
Yes.
And it had me, I was posting like day 1 without candy, wish me luck.
Hmm.
Day 2, here I go. And you know me and candy, right? So that's my thing. I will not give up candy. Well, obviously I tried giving up candy and it doesn't work. And there's
Hmm.
no point to it, right? But it's just having it in moderation. And like I said, not sitting with a big bag of it. And I do every now and again with my daughter. And I've mentioned that too, that we'd be sitting on the couch and the bag's between us and we're watching a show and we're diving in and it's all good. But no, I'm more mindful now. I'm way more mindful than I was, 9
Hmm.
months ago.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have a
Yeah.
lot more of an awareness of, oh, yeah, you know what? I had a bit of a stressful day. So I'm reaching for candy. I have that pure awareness of this is what triggers me. And when I have that trigger, that's what I want to reach for. And sometimes I can be mindful enough to be, you don't need that, and get something else or have my water because maybe that's really more what I need. Other times it's like, you know what? You need it. You're craving it. It's something that it's triggered you. This is what helps satisfy and satiate you. Do it. And I'll have a couple pieces of candy and I'll know, okay, I'm good
There
to
you
go.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah. Better than denying it and then binging on a whole bag later.
exactly. Exactly. And that's what I would do. And I think a lot of women can relate to that, where we would have this is how my day is going to go. And I am not going to eat X, Y, Z. And then you go through your day and something happens, something triggers you, and you grab that item that in your head is no good. Then you think, well, I've already had that, so my day's shot. And then you're like, so the rest of the day, you're grabbing food that doesn't make you feel good. By the end of the day, when you're in bed, you're thinking about it and you're mad at yourself that you shouldn't have done that. I don't do that anymore. There's no need for that anymore because I can have those moments where I can take that XYZ, have a little bit, but continue on my day and continue eating the way I want to eat. That makes me feel good. That helps me with my goals. right? Instead of going, okay, it's all or nothing, which is what I learned from you, the whole continuum, which I was like, oh my gosh, why are you such a genius? The continuum for sure, right? Why am I thinking so black and white? And because that's how I was thought. It was like, it's all or nothing. And yeah, it's just that one word that you gave me totally changed. It's like, it can be 60-40, it can be 70-30. It's fine. And as long as the majority, like for me right now, it's probably 70-30. Sometimes it's 80-20. And it's really changed how I view food, or how I view like my whole day with food, that it doesn't throw me off if I have something that's less healthy.
So
So yeah,
inspiring. Do you want to
go continuum?
Yeah, go continuum. Do you want to work for Laura Cavallo Coaching, Beth?
Sure, sign me up.
Okay, awesome. So coming into Laura Cavallo Coaching, what were your initial goals working with us? And I guess I never asked you, what prompted you to reach out to me? Was it a certain post? Do you remember? Was it a certain
I don't
live
remember.
that I
I was
did? Do you
just
remember what
following
it
you. I
was?
was just following you on Instagram, watching your videos. I just really liked how real you were, and everything that you said really, like, I related to it, right? It was like, oh, she's talking to me. I got to do something. I got to do something. Again, though, when I had reached out, part of it was still in that back of my mind of, this will be that one thing that's just going to help me get the ball rolling to lose that weight. Because I wanted to lose the weight. I wanted to be back to that skinnier version of myself, which I think I said to you, I was running, and I was running a couple of years ago and got lean, quite lean, and liked how I looked. But I couldn't sustain that. I couldn't sustain the running. And also, like, one of my major things why I reached out was my back, right? I was living in pain. I was in absolute pain. I couldn't get out of bed. And when I was getting out of bed, my room's up in the attic. So it's 2 floors down for me to get, up at, for 3 a.m. to get downstairs, to get in my car, to go to work. And it was getting very hard. And my clothes were at the end of my bed, and I couldn't reach down to pick them up. I had to use my feet to bring them over to myself and try to get them up. And this, I'm like 41, 42. I'm like, I should not be feeling like this. I don't want to feel like this. And it's back to that. I can do something about this. I don't have to live like this. And I think that's what spurred me. I'm like, again, I've done so much work on so many other aspects of my life. Why am I not doing the work on this important aspect of my life, of my health? And so part of it was, yes, I was thinking, well, this will help me lose that weight, which might help my back. And then slowly getting into it and learning and talking to you, it was like, what can I do to be healthy, to build good, solid foundation, so I can be strong for myself, so I can be a great role model for my girls. And I think that's what every session with you, every, couple of weeks when we were chatting, it just, everything you said changed that focus for me. It was like, you're right. Doing what I did before has not helped me. So why am I keep going back to that same pattern when I'm doing it for a couple months? Sure. But then something happens and I stop completely. And then I'm sedentary for majority of the time. Where I've been, I think you've seen myself at the gym all January, all February, no problems. And it's not hard. I'm not convincing myself to get to the gym. I'm super excited to get to the gym. And this is all through this really cold winter that I'm doing this. So I'm like, wow, if I'm doing this now, there's no excuses. There's no reason why I can't continue through the summer and for the rest of my life. And I think that's the other thing with you is all these other things. Do this for a month, do this for 3 months. Well, this is what I'm doing for my life. This is my lifelong goal, right? It's not like you're setting, okay, you've got 6 months to do this. No, we're helping you set this up. Now you've got the tools and the skills to continue this for the rest of your life. And that is great. It's also liberating. So I'm not going, whereas before, I've told you I'm going to Florida. Before I would have been, this is my goal. I need to lose this amount of weight before I go on vacation. I don't have that at all. I have no goal for that. No thought of any of that. It's just I'll be going as I am to Florida in a couple weeks. And it's great.
Wow. So much change, so much growth. Yeah, I felt like our discussions were really powerful, and there was a lot of aha moments for you during our coaching calls. And in part, I think it's also because you had done so much internal work in the previous years as well, just based on mental, emotional health, and you were so receptive to healing yourself and doing things differently. I know coming in, you were sort of tied to, okay, this is my goal. This is my fat loss goal. And I remember looking at your photos and looking at your weight and your measurements and your height and thinking, wow, Beth looks really lean already. Right. And we talked about this in your first call, and I was like, what are your goals? And you're like, I would like to lose 10 pounds. And I'm like,
Yeah.
from where? Like, right? Like, from, okay. And I
No,
did
not at
try to
all.
deter
Yeah.
you from it, right? Because I knew in time that we first needed to heal the mindset around nutrition and exercise first, right? Because I knew your history coming in from some of the fad dieting and with the back injury. And I just wanted to get you healthy and eating better, sleeping better, managing stress, and just get you overall in a healthier place. And then we could kind of assess, all right, do we want to adjust our goals? How do you feel like XYZ is going? And I remember the first couple months where we were doing progress photos and measurements. I remember you sharing, this is really triggering to me. I said, okay, we don't have to do them. Just know that it will be harder for us to track any fat loss that you want down the line if we're not doing these photos. And you're like, you know what? I feel so good. My back is becoming pain-free, right? I am developing a healthier relationship with food. I'm sleeping better, have more energy. I'm loving myself more. All of this stuff
Yeah.
is enough for me right now, right? Like this is more than I could have ever imagined. And it's almost like those fat loss goals kind of went out the door because you just, instead of getting smaller, you were getting stronger. And you were like, this is what it's about, right? I feel stronger inside, I feel stronger outside. And so it was a really beautiful process to watch, just you self-advocating for yourself, coming into the program and saying, okay, well, this is what I want to focus on now. I want to focus on strength, and my back feels really good. Let's push it. Or the weekends I'm having trouble with consistency. Help me with this, right? You started becoming so self-aware and really knowing what you needed as the program went forward. And so just been very, very exciting to watch.
But it's also been great that I've been able to, say that to you, especially about the weighing myself and the pictures. Any other program, or like I had done one program where we had to do it. It was like every Sunday, same position, same pose, you had to do it. And like I said, even if I had a really good week and I took that picture and I saw and I didn't look, it would really affect me mentally going, but I felt good. I had a good week. I feel good in my clothes. And yet I didn't really love what I saw in that picture, or I didn't see a change. And I was like, I don't need to do that to myself. I don't want to put all this work in, look at a picture of myself a month later, 2 months later, because we are hard on ourselves, right? You'll see my picture and be like, oh, look, Beth, we could, and I will look at all the spots that I don't like, right? So I'm like, why would I put this amount of effort into something only to know that I am going to criticize it and I'm going to take it apart and it's going to just weigh on me? And you were like, yeah, no problem. And it felt really good to be validated and not you say, well, you know what, Beth, I really need you to send me up. It was like, yeah, sure. Don't do it. Don't take a picture. Don't weigh yourself. Don't. And I think that was great too, because that really has pushed me forward. So when I say I'm still work in progress, I still don't think I could take a picture of myself now or do measurements, because I still had that in my head of being skinny. I know now that I totally love getting stronger. When I go to the gym and I'm picking up the 30s or picking up the 35s now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can do this. It's great. But mentally, I still have that block and I don't need to go back to it. So I won't go back to it, because I think if I did, I would probably be harder on myself, and I don't need to go there because every day when I go to the gym, I feel great. My back, I'm at, like I said, a pretty much, virtually pain free. I can bend down. I can pick up these weights, where when I first started with you, I don't even think I could have bent down to pick up 5 pounds. I was saying to you guys, I'm like, I really have to be careful. And the programs that you made for me were perfect, right? Because they were just progressive. And now I'm at a point where I'm, picking up the 65 pounds, no problem. So it's great.
Wow.
It is. It
So
really,
exciting.
it really
I love
is.
seeing, your updates in True Coach. Beth completed another program. There's the 35s, there's the 50s, there's the 65s. It's so fun. And There's nothing more inspiring and exciting for me as a coach when a woman starts lifting heavy and realizes A, that it doesn't make her bulky, B, how much picking up the iron increases that mental fortitude, that resiliency, makes you stronger inside out, and just makes you a badass. It just makes you feel like
does.
a total badass. There's nothing better than that. Like, we need to be strong women, right? Not frail women that can't pick things up and protect ourselves and get out of bed
Exactly. Like
without pain,
I'm a
right?
single mom. I work 2 jobs. I've got 2 girls. I do everything in my power to be. I'm quite independent, and that's one other thing is like being able to be strong and lift those weights and do those things. It's not just for me; it's also for my girls to see that they can do anything that they want to do. And I truly love being a role model to them. And I think I was doing myself a disservice in them by being in pain for as long as I was. I'm like, it's a process, and we all. And another thing you said to me about, we have seasons as well, and that was a season of my life, and that season's gone, and now I'm moved on, right? And I can embrace what I've learned from that. And I think I used to say to you, I have a fear of going back. I don't have that fear of going back anymore. And you had said to me, well, you're not the same person. You have all this information, all this knowledge, all this work behind you now. So you will never go back because you are not that same person. And that was another one of those moments going, you're right. I will not go back there because I've done all this work that it wouldn't make sense. There's no way I could go back there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and to your point of, you're still working through some of the mindset blocks or some of the challenges that you've experienced in the past. Like, I remember when we finished our initial first 6 months of one-on-one nutrition coaching, the exercise programming, and then you were like, I'm ready for a little bit more independence. I'm ready for a little bit more autonomy, but I don't know how the winter is going to go, right? The winter is traditionally a time that, I kind of take the foot off the pedal. I kind of just eat a little bit more. I don't really exercise. It's cold out. You, even after these 6 months of building so many wins and repetitions and success, there was still this uncertainty, right? This awareness of, this is how things have always been. I wonder how it's going to be moving forward. And here we are, one of the most consistent months that you've ever had. I think you just hit 16 workouts or 14 workouts or something, which is incredible at the end of February. So that part of just like the awareness and the learning and the constant self-monitoring, right? It's not like you just learn and you're like, okay, I'm good to go, right? Even when we were talking about possibly adding some creatine into your supplementation, you were like, listen, I'm just not sure measuring anything out is really going to be good for me mentally, just based on my past. And I was like, okay, we don't have to do it, right? And so now you just have this extra layer of awareness and being able to connect the dots between things that might come up, how you're feeling, patterns that you're thinking, patterns that you're experiencing. And it just makes you so much more informed in your journey as having that autonomy and that competence within your own program.
Absolutely. And I think
within yourself.
When I think about that, the ultimate goal, right, is to understand who you are. And I think for myself growing up in my family unit, I didn't know that. I felt like I was there to, I think for most women, we're that people pleaser role, the codependent role, the quiet role. And it took me a long time. I think women usually now, it's like your 30s and your 40s is when we do that more self-discovery. And I've learned a lot about myself. And I'm like, this is another great step to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. So now, like I said, I have those awareness. I have those cues of before my period. I'm much more aware of what I'm craving, or more stressful times, or, oh, I didn't sleep as well. So I have that. And it's powerful. It's powerful to know what triggers you. And it's the same when I talk to you about what I've learned with relationships. It's super important to know that we will have triggers. We have triggers that something happened from our past and what we carry with us. That's stuff that we're going to carry, but it doesn't mean you have to react the way you used to react. And when you have that knowledge, you're able to sit back, take a breath, or go for that walk, come back to it and go, what is it? Do I need to respond to this now? Do I need to eat this now? To have that much more awareness of who I am. And I think all these steps that I was taking, this was a piece that was missing, and I wasn't quite sure that I'd be able to get there. And with your help, with your guidance, with our chats, it got me here, and it's great. I have a level of understanding of myself that I
Yeah.
didn't, that I always wanted. I just wasn't sure that I'd fully be able to get there.
I'm so happy to hear all this. It's like looking back at the mirror yourself, you're like, who is this person? It's like you can believe it. It's
Yeah.
like you can't believe it, but you can believe it, right? Because we've grown and changed in so many other ways. It's like, well, I am capable of this. I can achieve this. And I think so many women, I know I was like this. I would always say, well, that's how I am, right? I grew up in an Italian family. We overeat. That's just what we do. I'm Italian. I love eating. I'm always going to be stuffing myself or having this or having that. Or I'm the party girl. I'm always going to have the wine and be the girl taking shots and partying. But I think there's power in knowing that you can change. And some people around you may not feel comfortable with it, and some people around you have to adjust, but know that the world and our lives are constantly changing, so we have to adapt and we have to remain that flexible and bring that curiosity to our lives. So you talked about some aha moments throughout the program. You said the 80/20 continuum, the seasons of life, as well as you being this sort of new person, right? This new identity, this new version of yourself. Is there anything else that has come up in terms of aha moments for you? I'm sure the strength training was one of them, and seeing how your body sort of healed from that back injury. Anything else you want to share with us?
Well, I think one of the things, I think when we finished that first part of my program, and you asked me like, do you have any goals, your fitness goals? And I was like, nope, no, I'm good. I'm happy with where I'm at. And maybe it was I don't know if it was the next one or a month later where I said to you, I do have a goal. I want to get stronger. I want to keep pushing myself and see where I can go. And I think part of that is, I was an athlete, so I've always had these goals, or I always want to push myself. I'm also wiser now not to push myself too hard. I'm aware that it could hurt my back, or I could do this. So I don't push myself as hard as I used to. I used to be very stubborn and, oh, she's lifting that, I'm going to lift that. Now I do it based on the help that you guys gave me from my program. That's very personalized, which is incredible because it's tailored to what I need to do, tailored to, I'm tall. There's certain things that I can and can't do, and especially with my back problems, I wasn't able to, still can't get super low in my squats, but I'm getting better for sure. I didn't think I would get to that point where I wanted to keep lifting weights. I enjoyed lifting weights, but I didn't think I'd be like, you know what, I want to lift heavier. And I thought, well, everything I've done with you, I feel safer, wiser. I have a lot more education behind it. So I felt, you know what, why not? I want to push myself. I want to see. And knowing that you guys have great, like Christina's great program that she's made for me to push me to get stronger as well. And it's great. So I feel like that was another sort of aha where I was like, no, I think I'm just going to stay the way I am and go, no, I want to keep growing. And it's okay to have goals. It's okay to keep wanting to get better and stronger. It's not going to make me go back into one of these obsessive things, but it's okay to want to do more and be okay with that, and also be okay with it not like you hitting a level where you can't go get any higher, you can't go any stronger, and I'm okay with that. And I think that was the same thing with that creatine, where I was like, I think in my head it was part of that sort of nutrition sort of slump that I thought if I put that in there, that might make me get obsessive of it. But as I did my research, I realized, no, it's something that's really good for your body. If I am going to the gym every day or every other day, it's good to have that to help me, with my recovery. So I put it into I have it every morning with my water. And it also helps me drink my water, which I always need help with too. So yeah, there's just having that push of that it's okay for me to want to lift heavier weights, and I'm capable of lifting heavier weights. Because I think part of me too, because of my body, I just didn't think that I would really be able to do that. And sometimes when you have this sort of mindset of that's for somebody else. You can't do that. Shorter people or whatever other people could do that. You can't do that. And I'm like, well, there's nothing that says I can't do it. I can try. And so that's what I was like, one of those moments with you of like, yeah, I'm gonna keep trying this. And it feels really good. It feels
Yeah.
really good for my body. I was saying to you, like, when I get up in the morning, when I'm like running, I just feel like I feel tighter. I actually have a bum, which I've said like in my 40s, and there's some curves there which were never there before. And yeah, it's really neat to see your body transform that way.
And you grew up as an athlete. You're competitive. Strength training and lifting weights, it gets you to the gym, it gets you engaging with a community of like-minded people, gets you into this atmosphere of self-improvement. And when you're an athlete and you're training, it's just kind of reinvigorates that feeling of when you were a kid, and that community and that pushing yourself and pushing your body.
Yeah,
There's
I
nothing
agree.
like it. There's
And I'm
nothing like it.
coaching my daughter's basketball team now. So watching them play and seeing like her improve, it's the same. I have those feelings again when I walk into the gym and I'm like, and I hope that she would love to keep playing, because I was telling her it's invaluable, being in a team and learning a sport, and the camaraderie of it all is just fantastic.
Yeah, it totally is. So, what would you tell someone who is struggling with body image, struggling with their nutrition, maybe struggling to stay consistent? What's like one piece of advice that you would give someone that was maybe in your shoes where you were 9 months ago?
I think for a lot of things, it's to really sit down with yourself and be honest. Because once you peel back the layers and realize what it is that you really want, what are you looking for? Like, even if you feel silly saying it, like, say it's like, I want to look like such and such a person, fine. But everyone has this idea that you can't get there. And I think if you can really just focus on what it is you want, understand that you're capable of anything. You really are. And you just have to put that work in. And once you believe you can do it, it can happen. And I think that's what changed with me with doing this, is I at first didn't think this was going to happen to me. So part of me didn't believe it. I was like, I'm going to do this. It's going to be great. Some things will change, but I'm not like, it's not meant for me. It's just not going to happen. It happens to everyone else, but it doesn't happen to me. And as it went on, I changed that. I changed that mindset, changed that frame of mind. I'm like, yes, why can't it happen to me? Why can't I get the change? Why can't I do this work? And I think once you do that, I think it becomes easier. And then you have a different goal, a different frame of mind. Things will work. It's the same with like those gratitude journals. If you write it down, if you believe it, it really does happen. And you change the way you do things. Part of it is going to the gym. If that's your goal, you write it down, you're going to go to the gym because you know that's part of what you need to do to get to where you want to be. So yeah, I think it's just sit down, listen to really what it is that you want, and go for it. Believe in it, write it down, and get a network, get a group of people who are going to support you, encourage you, that you can be yourself with, that you don't feel like you're going to be judged, or they're going to be like, oh, you're going to the gym again, or oh, have like your cheerleaders going, great. You don't feel like, yeah, go to the gym, or like, no, I'll go too, or maybe we'll go tomorrow. We'll like send each other a picture. And I think that's really important. And that's the other reason why I like this community. It's like-minded women who support each other. And I think for me, I truly believe there's strength in that. And I love women supporting women. It's a beautiful thing for me. So being part of this community, it's fantastic watching people, do their selfies or pushing each other. It really is a great community to be a part of.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you feel that way. And all of you is what makes it awesome. Just seeing everyone to come together and getting that energy from everyone. And to your point, like cheering each other on. It's like being part of a team. We thrive off of that. So what's next for you? You've been through so much change mentally on how you relate to nutrition, how you relate to exercise, your body, your awareness on your lifestyle habits. What's next for you the next 3 to 6 months?
Part of it, I think, is just continuing with this, right? It's like knowing that this is a forever journey, right? It doesn't end here. Like whenever this ends, it's not like this is the end of the road and I go back to what I was doing. That this is just going to be something that I carry over. And that I've made now as a lifestyle. And I think this process has led me to realize that you don't need an end goal. An end goal doesn't help. An end goal makes things harder. And then you set yourself up for failure with an end goal. If you realize this is just, it's a long-term lifestyle that I've developed now with no restrictions. I've never felt better. I'll be doing the same thing 3 months from now, maybe with 40 pounds in my hands. Who knows?
Yes, let's do it.
Sure, I think I
Yes,
could do it.
that's a
I think
good
I can do
goal.
it.
I think so. If we tell Christina that's your goal, she will make it happen. So who would you recommend the Cravings Cure program for? What type of
I
woman?
think for someone like similar to me, I think in, like you said, like 30s, 40s, women who have done it, tried it all before, haven't seen the results that they want, are fed up, like restricting or binging or just feeling out of control and not knowing what to do. This program will change them. Will totally change them. I know it sounds crazy. I feel like if I was listening to this, I'd be like, oh, sure. But it really does help. It really does help. It's like having like a really good friend. Like talking to you was super easy. I never felt forced, never felt difficult. I never felt embarrassed to share anything with you. Yeah, I think anyone who wants to change how they think and how they view food, I think really would benefit from this. Absolutely. It's really hard for me to articulate, even though I've been talking like crazy throughout all this. But it really has impacted my life greatly that I didn't think I would be able to say that.
And I think a part that makes the Cravings Cure, thank you for sharing that, by the way, but what I think makes the Cravings Cure program so special is the mindset piece, right? Because anyone can give you a diet plan or a workout plan or a meal program, but it was really the one-on-one mindset piece that was able to create that foundation for you of like, oh, the 80-20 continuum. I don't have to eat 100% good all the time, and it's not about following a diet plan, and I can give myself seasonal flexibility. And why am I craving? Why is my hunger higher? How can I stay consistent on the weekends? There was a lot of strategy embedded in, but also that mindset of like, it's okay. Like, we've got tomorrow, right? We've got next week. One meal, one weekend, one holiday isn't going to deter
Yeah,
your
because
goals.
never once did you tell me what to eat. Never once did you create a meal plan for me, which any other sort of nutrition program, that's what people are expecting, right? It's like, just tell me what to eat. Just tell me what to eat and I'll do it. You can't sustain that. That's not a long-term way to do things, right? And part of me, when I did first start this, I had in my head, yeah, just tell me what to eat and I'll eat it. I've done that in the past and that didn't work for me either, because there are certain things that I might not like that you put on that list, or one day when I come home from work, I might not want to eat, what it is that you put on my list for today. So there's none of that. You very much are like targeting us on what do you need? What's triggering it? What cravings do you have? What sweet things or what crave foods do you like? Incorporate those. And I think that had made a big difference, because any other diet or any other program I've ever done, I was told don't eat candy. So anytime you're telling me not to eat candy, I definitely want to eat my candy. Right? So when you're restricting things, you are gonna go back to those. There's without a doubt you're gonna go back to them. And with this program, I never felt out of control. I never felt like, oh man, I need to eat. You said eat it, have it. Put it in your little bowl, put it with some fruit, and you can have it. And it definitely, yeah, changed for sure in how I was viewing my crave foods.
Yeah. So each podcast episode, we end with, and you've shared this already, so I don't even have to ask you, but what is your favorite crave food that you
Well,
cannot
that would
go
be my
without?
candy.
Yeah, what kind of candy?
Mostly anything sour. I love like sour kids, sour juju. There's like a Haribo sour mix that I love.
Yum.
So Friday nights
And what's number
are
2?
pretty much our candy night with pizza. Number 2, I think it would be scones, which is I really do love a good scone. Like I'm like
Baked good.
not a muffin, not a cookie,
Yes.
but a scone. They're so dense, plus they're huge too. But yeah, I do love a scone.
They're so good with
Well,
coffee.
see that British side in me too, right? Because we would always have like scones with clotted cream. And when I used to go visit my family in England, my grandfather and grandmother used to always make me scones. So I have this love of scones.
Little nostalgia to that. I love that. So now we're both going to
Yeah,
crave baked goods and
exactly.
candy when we get off. Well, Beth, I really appreciate your time, and I learned so much about you, and thank you for opening up and sharing this vulnerable part of your life. But also, I hope your story can inspire other women out there that are struggling and give them hope for a better health and fitness journey for them and a better life, more happiness and more freedom. Is there anything else that you want to share before we hop
Yeah, I'm
off?
very happy that you had asked me to be on the program and share my story. And it's really great that I can do that because I think you're right. I think a lot of people can relate to my story for sure.
Well, thank you so much for being on, and I'll see you in the Facebook group.